It's my firm belief that an actor is the sum of their imagination, their experiences, their body, their voice, and their training, all of which they use to find connections to real feelings and thoughts that are analogous to the circumstances of the character and that allow them to what if themselves into the character's thoughts and feelings.
I always say, I can't cast you unless I see you. So be you. Don't be thinking, what do I want? You have to show yourself and all of the quirks and the weirdness. Like we want that. So it's like scraping away all this other stuff that we think is needed, and just bring yourself to the role. No one's going to be like you in that role. So just it's like putting on. If you and I wore the same green turtleneck, we would both look different in it because we would wear it differently. The same thing when you read lines.
Doing the performance that you've planned is never a good idea. Making the connections that you've planned is a good idea. And then letting the performance take care of itself. Acting is a little bit like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. You at a certain point, you just got to pull the string and hope the damn thing opens.
When you go into an audition, they are looking for specifics.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't know what they want, but they know when they see it.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they're looking for specifics.
Yeah.
And that actor has to match up with all the other actors that they're casting.
Yes.
that it becomes a picture. They're
Mhm.
looking to paint a picture. And you might be the best fire red, but they're looking for purples in this picture. And it has nothing to do with whether you're good or not good. It just has to do with what their vision is. Roy London always, he beat it into our heads. It was always, stop trying to be the lettuce. I mean, stop trying to be the salad. Be the best vegetable you can be and do it 20 million ways. So they want cucumbers or they want Brussels sprouts. They want Brussels sprouts boiled. They want it mashed. They want it pureed, and you're the only one that can deliver it.
Yes.
And that is the thing. We want to be everything, and we compromise ourselves because then we do something that we're not really qualified for. Sometimes you get fired because they go, oh, she's not working.
There's no work in progress is what I'm trying to tell you. You have to be like performance ready, performance level. And that means being present and reactive to the other character when you have no dialogue, because you do have dialogue. It's just, it's just
nonverbal.
It's nonverbal.
That's right.
And if you're missing that part, and if you're going blank and you're not reacting, then you're missing half your performance. It's just, half of your performance is verbal and the other half is nonverbal. And I think the half that's nonverbal is actually the more interesting of the two.
That's right. And a lot of editors will defer to the nonverbal version of the actor a lot of times because they go, they're more interesting than the actor who's talking.
Tennis or ping pong, you can't play with one person, even if it's just 2 lines. She wanted people that were like alive and very specific. So when you come in there with one line, really create a character around that line. So I talk about that in my class. I may give away secrets to your people just for free. What I do is I tell my actors, put on a piece of paper 3 categories: what you know, what you don't know, what you make up. So even if it's 1 page size, write everything you know about your character. And it could just be handsome and intellectual or something. That's all you know. Everything you don't know. I don't know what city it is. I don't know, is he married? Is he single? Does he have kids? Does he drive? Does he take the bus? All this stuff. And then the 3rd column, you make up all the things you don't know. So I know a lot of actors, like, you could get mad and saying, what's wrong with these writers? Why didn't they give me more description? Well, instead of being mad, now you get to play. So you get to make it up. So you're coming in and you always hear, like, have come in with choices. So just let your mind go. Oh, I think he's he's a barista, but he really has a PhD in psychology. So he's just doing this to make money, but he analyzes everybody that comes in to get coffee. So already you're coming in with all these little specifics. We don't know that as people that are in the room with you, but we could think, my God, it's so interesting. What is he doing? Rather than just thinking, oh, I'm a barista. I don't have a name. What is that? So again, it's bringing yourself or making choices of your character. So I will even have actors, and I found this out years after I started teaching, when the student, if it was, let's say, just a barista, gave that character a name, changed everything.
I was taught that your audition starts the moment you leave the house. And I love that someone taught me that. And I know who taught me that. Because literally your neighbor could be in the industry and you don't know it, right? So you want to be kind to people. You don't want to have road rage and like flip someone off because that person could be the casting director and you just don't know it. So the audition starts when you leave the house. And every step you take leading to that door is your audition. Stay in the character. I mean, don't be crazy. Don't start yelling at people, but just stay in touch with the character. So stay in touch with who you are too. Be polite, be kind, but stay in touch with the character. And then once you're in the lobby, God knows how long they'll keep you in the lobby. So this is the stamina game I was talking about earlier, right? Knowing how much to put out there. You don't want to put it all out and then you have nothing when you're in the room. Just kind of staying in touch or keeping it at the surface or keeping it at the heart, whatever expression we want to use, but keeping the character nearby and the circumstances and what you want. And then once you're in the room, you still might not start the audition. There's a little conversation that starts with casting, right? And then if you know that casting director, let's say by now you've auditioned for them before, there's a little bit of, how you doing? Haven't seen you in so long. That can take an actor out of it too. So it's really about training and learning how to stay in it so that when they say, great, slate for us, please, and then go right into your line, you're in it and you don't need a huge transitional moment. You've been in it.
The worst thing that you can do in audition land is to come in and be bland. It's just, and it's sometimes hard to know that you're being bland. And being bland is when, I think I was guilty of it when I was a young actor, but I just didn't realize, is to just do exactly what's on the page and nothing else. And that's fine, but we're in Los Angeles, and we're not in some small town, in the middle of the country, where maybe the acting community is small, and they have to put up with bland. They have to make bland work. We're in LA. We don't, the standards, the bar, you have to realize, is way up here. It's not down here, where we think it might be. It may be that a lot of actors come in and sort of default to an interpretation that's obvious on the page, but there's going to be one actor or two actors or three actors who come in and go deeper, who are doing more than just what's on the page, who have more detail in their interpretation, who have more depth to them. They're doing the dialogue, but then they're also doing the nooks and crannies that are in between. I never knew that when I was auditioning as an actor. As a young actor, I don't even think I would memorize back then, but I would go in and just do exactly what was on the page, and we think that that was enough. But when I went into casting, I realized, oh, that's not nearly enough, because somebody's going to come in and they're going to absorb that character and communicate that character, interpret that character, and execute that character in a way that has ownership to it. And it's almost like it's like set ready. And what I mean by set ready is like you could put them on the set and you could light them and you could, wardrobe them and dust them off and yell action, and they're ready to shoot it right now. And there's always actors who come in and are that good that fast with a character. And in casting, if all you have to do is just go, oh, that guy.
A lot of actors, I think nowadays, because there's so much emphasis on improv, which is great, but say the line is written. If you go into audition for Aaron Sorkin or somebody like Amy Sherman Palladino, every comma, we've argued about that in the writer's room with our writing partner. Honor what's written on the page. Do that once. Then you can feel free to, if you want to add like a joke at the end. Don't add jokes in the middle. Don't do stuff. Don't do these long pauses unless there's a dot, 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 or it says beat. We are writing like music. I think of it as music. I'm scoring it. These scripts are scored. I write in specifically beat, then, dot, 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 or I'll take off like if it says, I ran to the store and just like ran to the store. If I have an I there, there's a reason I have an I. Don't add the I unless I put the I. There's a reason I took it out if that's how I think your character sounds. So, and they will tell you in on the breakdown, improv, or they will say do the lines. I also personally don't care if you memorize or not. To me, especially in comedy, I'd rather you have the rhythm of it than be you think you memorized it and oh my god, we see in your head you wanting to I forgot something, because things happen. You have brain farts and you forget something. I always say to actors, hold the script, hold the sides, don't leave it in the car, don't leave it in the outer room. You're not getting the part because you can memorize lines. We want to know that you can have, especially in a comedy, there's a rhythm. Every writer has a rhythm.
I keep on getting called back to the same offices, like multiple shows, multiple times. And I remember what you told me years and years ago, that you got called back to an office, I don't know, 7 or 8 times, and you finally got the job. I'm not joking. You are common sense, mamita, because a lot of times, like, I'll be like, what, am I doing something wrong? And then I have to sit back and go, wait, they wouldn't keep calling you in if they didn't like you, if you weren't a good actress. They're trying to find a part for you. So, like, to all these actors out there listening, because this year I got a little frustrated because it was happening all, I'm like, they're calling me back again. It's a good thing. And for me, I just go, that's okay. When the part is mine, I'll go in. They know I'm good and I'll get it.
Each actor will come up to you and ask a specific question. What is my motivation? And that has really helped me, even in my writing. When I work with my writing partner, I said, that actor is going to come up to one of us and say, why did I say this, that? Because every character has an arc. And so they are thinking from their point of view. But as a director, you have to think from all their points of view to make the whole picture. Theater, you have just more time to play. In a sitcom, you start usually on a Monday, you're filming it on Friday in front of a live studio audience. So you have very limited amount of time. And again, everyone's being paid by the hour. In theater, you can really dig in and discover things. And it's also, with most plays, if they're not new plays, they're already written, they're set. Even though I've done a few plays with some TV actors, and they're like, Stan, can't you rewrite the end of the scene? I'm like, no, it's like George Bernard Shaw wrote that, or Shakespeare. I can't change that. I would like to rewrite a few of them, but I can't. So that's why I do love directing plays that have been published and produced. But there's also the joy of working on new material, and especially material that I've written, because then you are really, if you cast right, you can mold the piece to these actors, and they bring so much to it.
The greatest actors make it look so easy. And we all know that acting is not easy. It's lots of things, but it's not easy. But the greatest actors have the capacity to make us believe that we're seeing a real person. The Strasberg Institute in New York, when I was a kid, had a sign over the stage which said, "No acting, please." And so that was influential for me. I don't in music, the singers that I gravitate to seem to just let the song spill, and then eventually dynamics come into play. And when you get mad, you might have to scream a little bit, and when you might have to let your emotions be revealed and heightened when something is very intense. All of that is skill, craft, but it's also connection. If you make a genuine connection to something that helps you marry with the character's circumstances, when the character is desperate, you'll cry. When the character is furious, you might scream. I believe that if you answer the who, what, when, where, and why, that the how will almost always take care of itself. If you do your preparation and your research and you make your connections and you plumb your imagination and your intuition and your experiences, you'll get where you need to be the character.
You kind of have to be open to the universe, whatever throws your way, right? You have to be ready. You have to. I mean, we all fight our demons about that moment before the curtain goes up or before they say action, And so I think and I don't think it's something that ever ends. And so it's about trying to stay present, and there's a moment of trying to breathe into it, and I think we all. I try, and sometimes not successfully, not to get anxious about it, but I do sometimes. I get anxious before a job. Am I going to remember my lines? Am I going to, all those things that we battle with. But even after all these years, I think, Jesus, you're 71. Why are you still going through this? It seems like it's going to stay with me through my grave. There was only one time in all my professional career where I had no butterflies, where I had no angst. I just was like, bring it on. And so I would sit backstage on the step at the Skylight Theater, and then later at the Colony. I'd look on, looking at the stage, and just didn't think about anything except when it came time to jump in, I jumped in fearlessly. And there's something about doing that. I tried to find that, to jump in without fear. Because fear is a mess. It gets in the way of creativity. It tightens you up where you need to be relaxed. So I said, no, you have to act with no fear. I think that's a mindset. Act with no fear.
Generally speaking, everyone loves improv class. I feel like it takes a little more convincing to do a scene study class, especially when you're young. I think adults see the value in it. But drama is also one of those things that most people shy away from. But there's a little bit of drama that can be done superficially. Not that I'm okay with that, but people could get away with it. But then you get to an emotional scene, and that's when the truth comes out of whether or not you got the chops to carry this art form, right? I mean, you always have to show a sense of vulnerability, but when you have to show emotion, if that crack is not there, we can tell you're phoning it in, and that you haven't had the proper training and practice to know what it's like to open up in that way. And so, yes, I've taught several emotional classes, and it's very sad. It's the idea of just getting people in touch with their vulnerability, especially around others, because when we work on set, we are surrounded by others. So one of the things I teach is to build the concept of a private bubble so that you feel safe to release these emotions like no one is watching you, even though the reality is lots of people are watching you, right?
Acting is very specific. When you pick up a piece of material, it's really marrying it to you, not to try to, I think one of the challenges a lot of actors face, because they're not trained, they just come in the game thinking they can do it. It's like, oh yeah, I can act, especially nowadays where you have YouTube, you got all these platforms where people get in front of the camera. So they think it's easy. They don't know the craft behind it.
What shows do you want to be in? What shows are right for you? Make a list. If you go into a meeting with an agent, say, this is in my wheelhouse. This is my strength. This boom, boom, boom. Comment, like I would tell any agent, number one, multicam comedy. Doesn't mean I'm bad with drama, but I'd be like, these are the shows that I think are good for me, and have that list out. These are the characters. Like for drama with me, I like strong, badass characters like Mariska Hargitay on SVU, judges. I'm not like, and I can do the weepy crying like wife, but it's easier for me to jump into the DA, the FBI agent, the surgeon who's cocky, then
the prosecutor.
the nice.
Yeah, the prosecutor.
Yeah. So it's good to know your strengths. And now there's so many television shows. And again, you taught me this, to be like, this character is who I love, and have a list of the shows, the characters. It really, really, really helps. And
not only
agents,
that, since we're there, not only that, but reach out to the production companies, reach
Yeah.
out to the producers, reach out if there's a steady director on TV shows, because sometimes on episodics the directors are changing all the time, but sometimes they'll have certain directors that will do like maybe 4 episodes from the thing. So reach out to them, find out who the directors are, who the writers are. Send them
yes,
a note, say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I love Scandal. It's not on anymore, but I love Scandal. I love Grey's Anatomy. I would love to be part of your team. You know, I would love to be one of the characters." And actually write out what character you think you would be good at, because now you might be inspiring them to say, well, let me write that's interesting, I didn't think of that
yeah,
kind of, I'd be great as so and so's sister, um or so and so's husband's girlfriend, or but come up with something that you really would not only be right for, but it is in your wheelhouse. Because I think as actors we have to know what we sell, and we
yes,
have to know what we don't sell. So when you get something that is so unlike you that you can say, well, I'm not good at this. This is not my shtick. But you know what? I'm a I think I might want to stretch myself. Let me go and get coached on this and see how I do. What's important for an actor is to come as the peer, because that actor remembers you in a different way.
Yeah.
That when you first present yourself as I'm a fan, they've already clocked in their head like, oh, okay. And then they'll work with you, but that little thing has already kind of skewed it in a different way. This is something I've seen when I was working in the record business, and that if you geeked out on somebody, they didn't treat you with the same kind of respect. It
Mm-hmm.
was always, oh, you're a fan. Okay. Oh, yeah. But if you came in as a peer, not
Yeah.
not a teammate, but a peer,
Yeah. We're
because you could be a
equals.
teammate and sit on the bench all the time. But if you're a peer, they have a respect. No, it's you
Yeah.
wanna be a teammate, but you first want to come in as a peer to say, I got the goods just like you. I did my homework just like you.
Right.
I
In this
have
role.
craft just like you. Let's go. And then after you can have the chit chat. That's just my
Yeah.
that's something that I learned, especially when you're first starting out in the business. People aren't taking you seriously. They're not, if you're doing an under five, or you're just coming in as a co-star, they don't, especially on episodics, it's like in and out. You're only going to be here a day, maybe two, if you're lucky, three, and then
Mm.
you're out of here. So I'm not going to take the time to learn your name. I'm not going to take the time to really have a conversation with you, because you're just a step above the extra. But if you come in, what I have learned, this has been my experience, if you come in and you're quiet and you don't say anything and you get on that set and you do your stuff, 99% of the time, that lead actor that you just went toe to toe with is going to come and say, wow, you were really good. Where
Yeah.
did you study at? What?
Yeah.
And for me, that's how you want to be known,
Yeah.
because then they have a different
Respect.
take on you. It's like, oh no, she's, you come in,
She handled herself.
you do your stuff, you get it in one take, and then you thank you very much, and you just leave. I find
Professional.
it's a different energy. Everybody looks at you different.
you got to be kind to everyone in the room and outside of the room. Because when I've seen, like, back when like your first audition was in a room and there'd be like 8 people and one girl is rude and snotty, that third intern can say anything, because nobody wants to work with a jerk, like, period. So like when you come into an audition, be nice to everybody, say hello to the camera operator. It makes a big difference. And doing or listening to these lives, I heard that all the time. And I in my head I go, would someone really do that? And I'm like, oh wait, I've seen
Oh,
it.
they do it. Oh,
Yeah.
they do. I've been I've been on the receiving end of it. Someone thinking I was the receptionist because I was sitting at the reception area, and they were very rude to me. And then when it was time for them to come into the audition, I was sitting right there with the casting director. And then all of a sudden it was, oh hi. I was
Yep.
like, oh, you blew it when you were out there. You showed me who you were.
Be nice to everybody literally the minute you drive onto the lot, and just be prepared to play. When I teach acting classes, I always say, don't use this audition as this is going to change my life. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be successful. Everyone's going to love me. No, you're going in there just to expand your circle of people that know you. And you're doing what you love, even if it's for 2 or 3 minutes in the audition.
If you're sitting back waiting for someone you auditioned for to see you, to see your gift and talent and see your light and your shine, and that you're the next big thing, you may be waiting a very long time. So I say, take the reins for your own life so that you don't become that embittered, broke artist, you know. Get an income, whatever that looks like, you know, get an income, get some regular money coming in so that your basics are covered. And yes, that may mean getting a job. Get a job that maybe is flexible, that can work with you so that you can also audition. Get a side hustle that, you know, whether it's, you know, entrepreneurship is huge among artists for a reason, because you have more flexibility. You can create your own schedule. So there's a lot of things that you can do with stay. Don't just say, well, I'm just going to audition. Unless you have a family like that, or you have a support system like that, that's probably not realistic. Number one step, get some type of income. Number two, create opportunities for yourself. You know, other artists, go and shoot a short film, go shoot a feature film, create a web series, do something that is going to give you the opportunities that you're seeking, because we know many of the people that we know their names now, they started on that level. You know, Issa Rae with her Awkward Black Girl.
About 2 years ago, I actually fired my theatrical agent, which is a very scary thing to do. It is hard getting theatrical representation. But this agent I had, and when I met with him, he knew. I was like, I'm not going to do nudity. Boom, boom, boom. And he kept on I'd get an audition, and it would be like for a Showtime show with one line, full nudity. I'm like, not going to do this. And that kept starting. And finally, I was just like, and I don't even audition for those types of things because it's just pointless. Like, I know everybody says take the audition. No, I don't want those casting people to know that I'm not going to do that. And so I bit the bullet and I let him go. But I have a very good talent manager that listens to me. Like, like when you meet with a agent, a manager, like, you got to let them know. Don't say, oh, I'll do this. I'll do this. If you know you're not gonna, you got to be upfront, because then it's a relationship. I always say, oh, finding the right agent and manager is so hard. It's like dating. Just because you want this person, it doesn't mean you're right for them. But you also have to believe in yourself. And again, it was I was like, is this stupid? Should I send yet another email saying?
I think you're being courageous. You're also being responsible for your career. It's important for actors to have their must-dos, can't stands, and I don't care one way or the other. It's like dating. It is like dating, that you have to be real clear. I don't want to date a pimp. I don't want to date a priest. I don't want, you got to know what it is that you want and what you don't want. I can't be with somebody who smokes. I can't be with somebody who drinks. I can't be with somebody who looks better than me. I can, you have to like kind of be clear on what it is that you want. It's your, it's like going to a restaurant. You order what you like, not what everybody else is having.
Mm-hmm.
you have to be very clear. I don't eat meat. You know, if you're a vegetarian, I don't eat meat, but thank you so much. I'll have the salad. It's really important for you not to compromise in the beginning so that you build a foundation so that you don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't have never done that. That part is going to come back to haunt me. It's like, no, just be clear. That's why it's so important to have another form of income. So when, because a lot of times people take those jobs, those acting jobs, not because they want them, but because they got to pay the rent.
The percentage of people that stick with acting diminishes, right? Because it is not an easy thing. So if 100,000 people say, oh, I'm going to start acting this year, by the next year, you know, it's down to half of that, because half of those people realize how hard this was and they didn't want it anymore. They thought they wanted it, they didn't. And then the year after that, it's even half of that, right? So what ends up happening is the intermediate pool, the advanced pool, those are always going to get smaller because those are the people that have stuck with it. They've earned their rights to be in that group.
You have to be flexible. You have to be fluid. You have to be agile, and that is a part of this new life. You have to create daily structure for yourself. It is so easy to get off focus, and I do sometimes. Sometimes I get pulled into other people's projects and everything, and you have to pick and choose when it is valuable for you to do that. Again, now you are an entrepreneur full time. You cannot afford to be playing around with people on their, dreams that's still in dream mode if it's not some real stuff attached to it.
I've always professed that it's very important to get the long view. And Lydia, if you don't have the long view, you'll skip steps, you'll take shortcuts, and that's going to come back and haunt you, because there are no shortcuts. There are no easy routes to success. This is a demanding profession in so many ways that if you aren't willing to do the work and do the investigation and do the preparation, eventually it'll catch up to you and kick you in the ass.